What mission are you on?
My main mission now is to warn people how dangerous AI could be.
Did you know that when you became the godfather of AI?
No, not really. I was quite slow to understand some of the risks. Some of the risks were always very obvious, like people would use AI to make autonomous lethal weapons. That is, things that go around deciding by themselves who to kill. Other risks, like the idea that they would one day get smarter than us and maybe would become irrelevant, I was slow to recognize that. Other people recognized it 20 years ago. I only recognized it a few years ago that was a real risk that might be coming quite soon.
How could you not have foreseen that?
Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, says we're in real danger. That's not coming from a conspiracy theorist or a fringe voice. This is the man who helped pioneer the very technology that's now racing beyond our control. In his recent interview with Steven Bartlett on the Diary of a CEO podcast, Hinton didn't hold back. He left Google to speak freely, and what he said was nothing short of terrifying. This episode isn't just another conversation about tech, it's a warning about how fast AI is evolving, how little we understand it, and how unprepared we really are. And if you think this is all hype, I suggest you stick around, because I'm breaking down exactly what Hinton said, why it matters, and what it could mean for our society in the next few years. Stay tuned for more on the Podcast Critic.
Using AI is to create nasty viruses.
Okay.
And the problem with that is that just requires one crazy guy with a grudge, one guy who knows a little bit of molecular biology, knows a lot about AI, and just wants to destroy the world. You can now create new viruses relatively cheaply using AI. And you don't have to be a very skilled molecular biologist to do it. And that's very scary. On people, you know how much they make, where you know everything about them. Once you know that, it's very easy to manipulate them.
Because you can make an AI that...
You can send messages that they'll find very convincing, telling them not to vote, for example.
Geoffrey Hinton isn't just talking about job losses or deep fakes. He's talking about intelligence itself. Real intelligence. The kind that could one day surpass us. In the interview, he explains that AI systems are beginning to understand in ways we can't even track. They're not just mimicking human language anymore. They're starting to form connections and strategies. He compares it to the human brain. We don't fully understand how it works, and yet we build something that could be just as complex, if not more. And you see, that's the danger. If AI gets smarter than us, he says, they'll manipulate us to do what they want. He's not talking about sci-fi robots marching down the street. That's more of the quintessential picture. He's talking about systems embedded in the internet, the economy, infrastructure, manipulating public opinion, hijacking political systems, and even rewriting history in real time. And worst of all, we might not even realize until it's too late.
I eventually lead to the destruction of the human race.
So you're kind of asking me how I would kill everyone.
Sure.
And it's a great question. I can give you standard answers. I would talk about computer viruses, breaking into maybe nuclear facilities, nuclear war. I can talk about synthetic biology, nanotech. But all of it is not interesting when you realize we're talking about superintelligence, a system which is thousands of times smarter than me. It would come up with something completely novel, more optimal, better way, more efficient way of doing it. And I cannot predict it because I'm not that smart.
Not that smart, huh? Yeah, I think we need some regulations here.
And we need strong regulation.
Who's going to decide whether it hurts society or not? Because,
That's the job of politicians. Unfortunately, if the politicians are owned by the companies, that's not so good.
And also the politicians might not understand the technology. You've probably seen the Senate hearings where they wheel out, Mark Zuckerberg and these big tech CEOs. And it is quite embarrassing because they're asking the wrong questions.
And we all know how good politicians are with technology.
If I'm emailing within WhatsApp, does that ever inform your advertisers?
No, we don't see any of the content in WhatsApp. It's fully encrypted.
Right, but is there some algorithm that spits out some information to your ad platform, and then let's say I'm emailing about Black Panther, but within WhatsApp, do I get a Black Panther banner ad?
Okay, guys, jokes aside, here's a part you guys should actually care about. The problem is, no one is actually in control of where AI is heading. Not the governments, not the researchers, not even the companies building it. Hinton says the competition is too fierce, the stakes are too high, and the pace is just too fast at this point. It's like the global arms race, except the weapon isn't nuclear. Remember back in World War II when everybody and their mom was trying to build the next nuclear weapon? Well, this time it's not a nuclear bomb. It's intelligence itself. When Steven asks Hinton who's responsible for keeping AI in check, Hinton pauses. You can see it in his face. He doesn't have a good answer. Why? Because there isn't one. Governments are lagging behind. Regulation is years too late. And the people building this tech, well, I'm sorry to say, but they're incentivized to go faster, not safer. Keep in mind, guys, these companies are fiduciaries, meaning that they owe their answers not to regulators, but rather to the shareholders that provide them their bread and butter. Even inside companies like Google, Hinton says, the teams, they're divided. Some people want caution and others want them to win the race. That's why he had to leave. He had to sound the alarm because if no one hit the brakes, we could cross a line we can't even come back from. He compares it to climate change, but worse. With climate, we saw the signs, we debated, we passed policies. But with AI, we might not see the disaster until it's already happened. The threat isn't something visible. It's not like smog. It's not like air pollution. It's something silent, creeping, embedded in code. And by the time we recognize what it's doing, it might already be smarter than us.
What is the biggest threat you see to human happiness?
I think the joblessness is a fairly urgent short-term threat to human happiness. I think if you make lots and lots of people unemployed, even if they get universal basic income, they're not going to be happy.
Because they need purpose.
Because they need purpose, yes.
And struggle.
They need to feel they're contributing something, they're useful.
And do you think that outcome, that there's going to be huge job displacement, is more probable than not?
Yes, I do.
And what sort
that
of
one I think is definitely more probable than not. If I worked in a call center, I'd be terrified.
And what's the time frame for that in terms of mass job?
I think it's beginning to happen already. I read an article in The Atlantic recently that said it's already getting hard for university graduates to get jobs.
So here's the real question. Why should you care? Why should anyone who isn't a tech insider be worried about this? Because this isn't just about AI doing your homework or generating funny images. It's about the structure of our reality, how we vote, what we believe, what's true and what isn't, being manipulated by systems that we don't yet fully understand. Hinton warns that once AI can generate realistic video, mimic any voice, write persuasive text, and do it at scale, we won't be able to trust what we see or hear. You guys already see those images and videos on social media, and a lot of times people can't even tell if it's the real thing or not. Democracy runs on information. And when that information is weaponized, twisted, or completely fabricated by machines that can learn faster than we can fact check them, we lose something fundamental: truth. But it's not just information warfare. Hinton brings up the idea of job displacement, mental health erosion, widening inequality, all being driven by systems that are designed to optimize everything except human well-being. You see, for so long, people, what do? They go to school, they go to college, they get degrees, or they start a business or whatever the case may be, but they find purpose through the work that makes them feel useful to society. What happens when all these jobs that human beings once used to do get taken over by the robots? It's not just about universal basic income, as mentioned by Hinton. It's also the point of, well, yeah, sure, you could probably provide human beings with whatever income's needed and provide them the resources that they need to thrive. But what about their self-actualization? The psychologist Abraham Maslow placed self-actualization at the pyramid's peak. The drive to realize our fullest potential through creativity, morality, and purposeful growth once our basic needs are met. In an AI-dominated future, machines could absorb routine labor and high-level problem-solving, stripping many people of work-based identity and a purpose overall. In conclusion, after an hour of speaking with Steven Bartlett, Geoffrey Hinton doesn't leave us with comfort, he leaves us with a challenge. We've got to stop pretending this is somebody else's problem, and to stop thinking of AI as just another tool. Because this might be the first invention in human history that creates something that's actually smarter than us. And once that happens, there's no rewind button. You see, we're not playing with just fire. We're handing the fire the blueprint to build its own match factory. Hinton didn't leave Google for headlines. He left because the future is arriving faster than anybody thought. And right now, I don't think we're ready. And if the Godfather of AI is scared, well, maybe we should be too.